I want to first say that I went to the bathroom, to the ladies' room before this started, and it was such a high school bathroom. It took me back to my high school days, and it was a big open girls' bathroom where I'm sure a lot of good conversations happened. And I ran into Antonia, I hope I'm saying her name right. Antonia, there you are, who has big hopes of going to Berklee School of Music, she told me while we were in the bathroom. Yes, I'm so proud of her. And we had a little conversation, and I said, so what goes on in this girls' bathroom? Is there a lot of bullying? Because there's a lot of open space, and I could imagine that things could happen. And she said, oh no, not here at Banneker, because our principal would not allow that. And we would be out of this school instantly if that went on. So I was really happy to hear that. Now maybe there's other kinds of bullying going on that doesn't happen in the girls' bathroom, but that's what we're here to talk about today. And mostly to find some resolutions to answer your questions. And I might say that you all had some magnificent questions that I saw on the postcards. And we're going to get to try to answer all of those questions. And I was really proud of you for those questions that you were asking. So without any further ado, let's get started so that we can get out of here on time. I first want to thank our sponsors, and that the first one up is Renner Centers, and Kenneth Jones is here, and he is the Public Affairs Manager. Let's thank Renner Centers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say how delighted and pleased I am to be here and share with you on this very important topic of bullying. Would like to say thank you to the work that the CBC spouses are doing in terms of putting forth these topics of discussion, especially for young people, because these are issues that you guys deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's important as a community that we get them out front and talk about them openly. So I'm looking forward to hearing from our panelists today. I think they have some interesting information to share with us. And I'm looking forward to hearing from your questions. I understand that Mo says you submitted some interesting questions. I'm looking forward to hearing those and hearing the responses from our panelists. So thank you for taking time to come here to today's presentation. I want to thank your school principal for hosting this forum. And I'm looking forward to participating and leaving here with with a whole host of information. Thank you.
Next up, we have Alice Kahn, who is from Cartoon Network, and she is the VP of Social Responsibility for Cartoon Network. Let's put our hands together.
Thank you. Thank you for that great reception. I want to thank the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation spouses for their leadership. And I want to thank the winners for their commitment and their passion. I want to thank Benjamin Banneker High School for your support of this issue. And I want to thank the panelists for their guidance. Cartoon Network Stop Bullying, Speak Up began about 4 years ago because you guys told us that you wanted to know what to do when you saw your friends get bullied. And it was your generosity and your commitment and your interest that really has helped us create a movement that's inspired thousands of other kids. Cartoon Network's very proud to be here today. We offer our congratulations to the winners, and again, our thanks to the Congressional Black Caucus spouses. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Now we would have, whoa, okay. So I have a big mouth anyway, so I probably don't even need this microphone. So we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the CBC spouses that put this entire event together for you, and we want to acknowledge them now, and as we do, we would love for you to stand up. First, we have Marita Davis-Johnson out of Georgia. Then we have Mariama Carson from Indiana. Dr. London Thompson from Mississippi. Emily Clyburn of North Carolina. Of course, South Carolina. I'm sorry, the paperwork is incorrect up here. Of course, South Carolina. Vera Davis of Illinois. Alfreda Scott of Georgia. Yulata Watts of North Carolina. Diane Cleaver of Missouri. and Simone Marie Meeks of New York. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Quickly, I'd like to just mention our essay winners who are here. Chasen A.D. Richards, please stand. Staraja Wright and Dominique Riggins. Give a big round of applause for the winners. And now I'd like to introduce our panelists. First up, we have Jennifer Stoff, who is the Deputy Director of the Office of Human Rights. Jennifer advises the DC's Mayor's Office on matters concerning diversity and anti-discrimination. She has also developed and overseen the implementation of a number of citywide projects to eradicate discrimination. Let's have Jennifer say a few words to you. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny. Hey. So first of all, I have to thank the Congressional Black Caucus spouses. Thank you so much for bringing us here. Now, do you all know what the Congressional Black Caucus does? Some yes, some no. So just a mile from you are 535 of our nation's legislators. And the women standing here now support the legislators in the Congressional Black Caucus. And so they have a very, very important job. So they've brought us all here today. So thank you so much. So thanks also to the Cartoon Network and to Banneker and to DCPS for having us here. So a quick show of hands. The last time that you were in a car, did you wear a seatbelt? Raise your hand if you wore it. Just like the last time you were in, okay. So, okay, that's good. That's good, that's like 90%. So maybe your car didn't have a seatbelt or for some other reason. So when, I have to tell you this, if I were to ask you that question when you were babies, like 15 years ago, probably only half of you were to raise your hands. Now, why is that? About 15 years ago, there was a big push across the country to get people to wear seatbelts in cars. And the whole idea was that when you sat in a car, the first thing, without even having to think about it, was put your seatbelt on, right? Like when you go into a car, you don't even think twice, you just put your seatbelt on. So now, you go into a car and you put your seatbelt on, but you had to learn that behavior. So when I think about bullying, and I work for the mayor, Vincent Gray, and when he thinks about bullying, what he wants our first instinct to be is to put on a seatbelt, right? We don't even have to think about bullying prevention. We shouldn't have to think about bullying prevention because it should be a part of us. And so what the mayor is trying to do is to create a system across the city, not just in schools, but in your after-school programs, at your churches, at nonprofits, where there is an understanding of a positive and safe climate, and that you shouldn't even have to think about bullying prevention because it should be so inherent in our behavior. So what we like to say about bullying prevention in DC is we say it takes a district. It takes a district. So that means it can't just be up to our teachers to stop bullying if we see it. And it can't just be up to the person who is on the receiving end of bullying to speak out. But we need to teach people how to do that. And it can't just be up to a bystander to stop it when they see it. It has to take a district. We have to teach everybody how to put on a seatbelt, how to figure out bullying prevention. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you, Jennifer. I want you three cute girls in the front to start wearing your seatbelts, okay? Because when they said it, y'all were like, seatbelts. Elena, it's gonna happen so much. Just bear with me, okay? Elena Pass-Brown is from an organization called Stamp Out Bullying. She's a high school student, just like you guys, who serves as an ambassador for this wonderful program called Stomp Out Bullying. She was honored in 2012 with the Community Service Award from her school's Parent Teacher Student Association, and she's doing wonderful things. So let's put our hands together for Elena Pass Brown.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Elena Brown and I'm a sophomore in high school in Westchester, New York. This is such a great opportunity to increase awareness about bullying and its harmful effects, especially on teens. I have been a teen ambassador for the organization Stomp Out Bullying for 3 years now. As a teen ambassador, I help spread the word and try to prevent bullying and promote Blue Shirt Day, World Day of Bullying Prevention in my school to raise awareness against bullying. Everybody wears blue on the first Monday in October to show support. As a teen ambassador, I've had the opportunity to participate in a public service announcement with several athletes such as Michael Strahan and Howie Long. It was exciting, but more importantly, it brought attention to our cause. My school is very proactive in addressing the issue and offers programs, support, education clubs, and committees that try to prevent bullying. I think my school does an excellent job at preventing bullying. However, there's always more that we can do. I got involved with Stomp Out Bullying because when I saw kids at my school being bullied, I felt compelled to take action. I also want to help because my mother, sitting right here, thank you, Mother. Thank you. She is also an advocate for Stomp Out Bullying and has told me many stories of kids who have been severely bullied. One story that stands out to me the most is about a friend who has been bullied his whole entire life, beginning in elementary school. He didn't realize that getting hit on the playground was more serious than he thought. Now in middle school, he is badly bullied, and the last several schools he attended, bullies ruined his backpack, glasses, and his spirit. His face was bruised all over, and now he is terrified to go to school. Whenever I hear him speak of his story, it makes me want to do as much as I can to help others out there like him. I am also very shocked when I hear stories on the news about kids my own age taking their lives because bullies tormented them. Our lives as teenagers are just beginning. Most people do not get through life without encountering some type of bullying, whether it's physical, emotional, cyber, or even isolation. I experienced isolation bullying where the mean girls of my school would give me dirty looks and call me names. It is very important to tell an adult, so I told my mother, and she gave me some insight of how to handle the girls. If one would come up to me, I would walk away before something negative came out of one of their mouths. It is important not to ignore the situation, but to control it. For some kids, the bullying escalates to a much higher level, and that's why I learned I have to help others, even if it does not directly involve me, because we are all affected by the negative impacts of bullying. Raise your hand if you have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media account. Put them up, put them up. Many of you do, which is great, and it's a great way to connect with friends. But unfortunately, it can lead to cyberbullying, which is a very popular form of bullying among young people. If you are getting cyberbullied, make sure you print out negative messages and block that person immediately, and then go tell an adult for help. A lesson I've learned as a teen ambassador is to stand up for others. The majority of kids are not bullies, but are bystanders who watch others being tormented and do not say anything to prevent it. You should befriend somebody who is being bullied so they do not feel isolated. Thousands of kids stay home each day because they are bullied. And I learned an interesting fact is that a lot of school bathrooms, they do have a lot of bullying in school bathrooms, and there's no adults monitoring the bathrooms, and there's only one exit out. So victims of bullying will often not use the restrooms at school. So if kids immediately rush home and go to the bathroom, it could be a sign to parents that their kid is being bullied. I never thought about that before until I heard it, and it shocked me and moved me because it's not a place that most people associate with bullying. Ultimately, we want to end bullying, but also bring awareness to the issue, let people know they are not alone, and offer support to people in need. Lastly, the more people involved, the more awareness is created, and that helps change how bullying is perceived. So stand up for others and stomp out bullying. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. That is so great. Thank you so much. I had a bully in middle school. Her name was Anessa Torrado. And she bullied me in the bathroom. throughout my entire middle school life. So then I was only like this big. I couldn't do anything. She was bigger. She beat me up all the time. And then when I went to high school, I thought I was finally getting away from her because we all went to separate high schools. And in my junior year, she came to my high school. Yeah. And I was like, oh, great. So there was no bullying laws. There wasn't even an issue of bullying. It was just like two girls that don't get along. So just like seatbelts weren't mandatory when I was a child, these issues come up and they become a part of our conversation. And we have to be really thankful for that, because I wish that this conversation had existed when my bully, Anessa Tirado, was around. And get this, she tried to Facebook friend me. Like 5 years ago. And I was like, for real? And she still had her same name, Anessa Tirado. I called my sister, can you believe Anessa Tirado is trying to Facebook friend me? And so I blocked her from my Facebook, just in case. Yes. But I'd be ready for her anyway today, just in case she shows up. But moving on. Robert Jackson is a noted author of several books in his series, The No More Excuses Curriculum. He is a national speaker, consultant, trainer, and owner of Lavelle Publishing and Nova Concept Speakers. Put your hands together, everybody, for Robert Jackson.
Good afternoon. If you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his action. When you determine what a man should think, you have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel he is inferior, you don't have to compel him to accept an inferior status. He will seek it himself. If you make a man think he is justly an outcast, you don't have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. Anybody know about that, going to the back door without being told? Well, let me explain it to you. And if there's no back door, his very nature will create one. This quote right here saved my life. Because I remember being 11 years old, going to the store. Now, I grew up in the neighborhood. I got 4 sisters. We had one phone. We had one restroom. 4 sisters. Some of you gentlemen catch that on your way home. And we had one of them rotary phones. We didn't have any cell phones back when I was in school. So I had 4 sisters growing up in my neighborhood. I didn't have a father, never met my father. Didn't have any brothers. So it was just me against the world most of the time. I was on my way to the store, 11 years old. And I had the brand new Adidas on. Some of you old school remember what I'm talking about. Run DMC, LL Cool J. Some of y'all Google it. You got Google now. But I cut all kind of yards to get these shoes. And I got my fat laces in, because I used to love the fat boys. Hold up before y'all start laughing. We're going to be talking about you in 20 years, okay? So as I proceeded to go to the store, I was approached by one young man and said, give me your shoes. And I thought about it for a second, and I remembered how many yards I cut to get them shoes. Because I cut probably about 20 yards to get those shoes, right? And I said, it's just one guy by himself. I can take him. I said, take my shoes, and I punched him. The problem is, 5 of his friends ran out of bushes. So I'm surrounded by 5 guys. 6 including the guy who first tried to take my shoes. Now, I don't ever recommend you doing that. Somebody wants your stuff, give it to them. It's material stuff. I'm talking about somebody put a gun to your head like it was at mine. One of the guys pulled out a gun and put it to my head. I want you to hear this. So that changed the game. So here I am going to the store to get some candy. Here I am, then I'll end up with a gun pointed to my head over my shoes. And another guy had a knife pressed against my throat, all over a pair of shoes. So these guys proceeded to beat me. One of them had my hands behind my back, and I was getting beat in the face, beat in the chest, just getting beat from every angle to the point where I started tasting my own blood. That's how bad I was being beat. And then some gentleman ran out of his house and said, leave him alone, and they took off running. But I never knew the scars that bullying put on me until 10 years later. I had nightmares, I had anxiety, I had depression because of that incident. 10 years later, fast forward, I'm a senior in college. I'm being recruited by all kinds of NFL teams from across the country. I'm a college running back. So I'm playing football down in Kentucky. I got good grades. I got NFL scouts looking at me from all over the country. I'm going into my senior year. I came home to visit my mom before I went back to school. And when I came home to visit my mom, I went to one of my favorite restaurants to get something to eat. And when I paid for my food and I turned around, guess who I seen behind me? The same guy who had put the gun to my head 10 years prior. See, I thought I was beyond it. I thought it was behind me. But when I saw him, I wasn't hungry anymore. I wanted revenge. And during that time, when I was 21 years old, see, my two best friends got murdered. One got murdered when I was 15. The other was killed when I was 16. The first star football player that came out of my neighborhood, he also got murdered because he came home from school and got robbed. So I would carry a 9mm in the back of my pants when I came home from school. I carried this 9 on me everywhere I went because I wanted to protect myself at that time. So I'm at Popeyes. I knew you like that. I'm from down south now, watch it. So I'm here to get me something to eat, and my appetite is gone because I run into this guy. So I'm not that 11-year-old little kid anymore. I'm a 5'11", 235-pound football player. So I'm not the same little scrawny kid that he was picking on, right? So I asked him, do you remember who I am? And he just looked at me funny. Look, I did not know he had just got out of prison. He did 10 years in prison for robbing and killing a pizza man delivery guy. And he had just got out of prison. So I run into this guy, and I see him up here at this restaurant, and I'm angry. All my whole life flashed in front of me. Here I am, a senior in college. I got good grades, about to get my degree. I'm about to go into an NFL training camp, and I run into this guy, and my life flashed in front of me because I wanted revenge from what he did to me. See, some of you don't understand what bullying does to people. See, some people it causes anxiety. Some kids become suicidal. For me, I was angry. So fast forward through the story, I asked him again, because I got angry that he didn't even remember who I was, and he tormented me as a kid. And I asked him again, did he remember who I was? And as I walked through that door, he started backing out the door. And I pulled that gun and I put it to his head. I said, you remember me now? 21 years old, life in front of me. And some of you looking at me crazy. Some of you younger than that, and you throwing your life away because you don't even want to read. You don't want to apply yourself. So that's doing the same thing. You call yourself want to go to school, but you're not preparing yourself. So anyway, I put this gun to this guy's head, and I said, I ought to kill you right here and end it for all the torment that you took me through. And I seen the frightened look in his face, and I remember what that look was because I had that look 10 years ago. And as I'm contemplating, one side is telling me to do it. And the other side is telling me you have your whole life in front of you. And as I'm sitting here contemplating, he took off in traffic. He almost got hit by 2 or 3 cars, running full speed. I couldn't even see his legs moving. He was moving so fast. And here I am, a senior in college, holding this 9mm in my hand and asking myself, what the heck are you doing? Anybody ever ask yourself that? Catch yourself in a situation or a place and you ask yourself, what am I doing? 3 months later, I'm into my senior year, lead my team in rushing, end up with over 1,500 yards rushing that year as a running back. Did go to the NFL, but NFL stands for not for long. Broke my kneecap when I was with the Minnesota Vikings. So I did make it, but don't feel too sorry for me. I got my degree. I fell back on something. Right? You athletes in the room where you at? You got to fall back on something. But the sad part of the story is many bullies never get the help that they need. 3 months later, I was still into my senior year. My cousin called me at school and said the same young man that I had the gun pressed against his head was killed execution style in front of his family. Tied up and killed in front of his family 3 months later. My moral to the story is if you're being bullied, you need to deal with it. Don't wait till you're older and then you have a flash from the past and then all that aggression and all that anger comes out. If you're the one who is doing the bullying, and there's many forms of bullying, it's not always physical. Some of it's mental. Some of you hiding on cyberspace, bullying people. Some of you are isolating people, and you don't know the damage that it's doing to somebody else. What if that was your child? So if you're the one doing the bullying, we want to give you the help that you need.
That's the signal.
Okay. The signal, she's telling me to sit down. So the moral to that story is if you're the one being bullied, we're here, we want to help you with that. If you're the one who's doing the bullying, we want to help you too. God bless you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert, so much for that. We know that Robert has a lot of experience with that and could talk about that topic. So what we're going to do next is we're going to move over to the question and answer period and get some of your questions answered. And then when we get to the end of that, we do have 2 microphones in the audience in the event that anybody wants to stand up and ask any questions that we have not addressed. Is that a good way? Yeah. All right. Okay, let's just start right away with, I saw a lot of questions in the index cards about what actually is the definition of bullying. The definition of physical bullying when people are face-to-face with each other, and also cyberbullying, which we know is the bullying that takes place online, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all of the social networks. So Jennifer, let's start with you. Can you just tell us what bullying is defined as? And then the follow-up is going to be, what are the consequences, both legally and in schools, for bullying?
Yeah. Up here. No. Oh, all right. Okay. Okay. So this is a really important question, because one major problem in this dialogue that we have a lot is that sometimes bullying can be considered everything and nothing. Right? So sometimes people think bullying might be like a one-time, somebody says something mean to someone else, and somebody says that was bullying. Another example, it can be physical. But the way that bullying is defined by law, by federal law and by District of Columbia law, is that it is repeated, intentional, and there's an imbalance of power. Repeated, intentional, and imbalance of power. Now, an example like we just heard, where there was like major physical altercations, like violence, guns, I mean, that's, to me, you may consider that bullying, repeated, imbalance of power, and intentional. But when we think about bullying in the context, for example, of school, those 3 things are what we really want to talk about. I would encourage you, if there is something that escalates to the point of violence, like we just heard, that to me is unquestionably, you go to the police, without question. Right? So you really have to distinguish what's bullying, what's drama, what's violence, what's conflict. You can have conflict without it being bullying. That's totally normal. I have conflict with my friends all the time, right? So that's important that we distinguish.
Okay. And just real quick, what's the penalization, or what are the consequences of those 3 parameters you set out? If they are found to be bullying, what are the consequences under the law for bullying?
So it depends, right? So if you're in school and there's a persistent situation of bullying, it can be treated, there can be suspensions and things like that. But what we really want to start thinking about and talking about is before we get to the point of having to conduct suspensions and expulsions, which we think are terrible, right? It's a bad idea to take kids out of school, a bad idea. Before we get to that point, what we really want to focus on is actually preventing it before it happens. That's what we want to talk about. There are definitely consequences, like especially for the violent stuff, like we know those consequences. But really what we have to talk about is setting the stage so it doesn't happen in the first place.
Okay. And do those 3 parameters, are they for cyberbullying as well? The repeated, intentional, and the imbalance of power? Okay, so that applies not only if you're in front of somebody bullying them, but if you're also doing it on the internet. And here's a good question. If I talk about, this is a question from a student. If I talk about someone I don't like over the internet, and that person I don't like can't see it, because they might not be a friend of mine, but others can see it, is that considered cyberbullying? Yes. Robert, you want to take that?
Yes, that is definitely considered cyberbullying. Now, what I have done to prevent any cyberbullying against me is I don't even have a Facebook. So what I don't see can't hurt me, because I don't know what people are saying about me, and I don't want to know, and I don't want to get hurt like that. So if someone is saying bad comments and things like that about you and you don't see it, it's still negative and it's still hurtful words, and it still is considered cyberbullying, for sure.
Okay, all right. What procedures, let me give this to Robert, what procedures would someone take, this is a student question, when you encounter cyberbullying? So they're online, and they see somebody say something negative. People say negative things about me all the time online, and I always want to wonder if it feels like bullying when someone says, I didn't like that outfit she had on. Now, that's not really bullying, that's just somebody's opinion. But when they take it to the level of the 3 things, then that for sure is cyberbullying. What procedures do you take when you notice that somebody is cyberbullying you?
Yes, so definitely print out those messages, so you have them, a hard copy, and it's proof. And then the next thing is to block that person, flag that person, because you don't want them on your page commenting, you don't want anything to do with them. And then go tell an adult, anybody you trust, your parent, a friend, a teacher, a guidance counselor, anybody you can trust to tell them, go tell an adult.
But Elena, isn't it a natural inclination as a teenager, when someone is talking about you, to want to continue to see what it is that people are saying? Because as I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I know that you care so much about your image, about what people think of you. So it's not so easy to just say, I'll just block the person, because you want to know what people are saying. So how do you actually get yourself to the place where you can walk away from the curiosity of what people are saying?
Well, if you continue to comment back, if somebody says something negative to you and you say something back and they say something back, it just goes back and forth, and that can make it escalate to an even higher extent and get worse, and then sometimes could become an issue not even online but in person, and it can get even worse. So it's really important to just try to ignore it and not let it, put your self-esteem down at all. You got to try to be confident and be strong and not ignore the situation, but definitely control it. Do not let it take you down at all.
Robert, I want to ask you, what do you say to young men who, I see a lot of comments by men, or younger men, whether in high school, young men or older men, that make a lot of comments on social networks about women and their appearance or their physique, where they say nasty things about women, things that they have not done. How do you address the young men about posting things like that?
Well, I address them very directly. You young men in the room, how many of you love your mamas? And your sisters? Grandmothers? Okay, put your hands down. Now, how would you feel if I addressed your mother like that? I'm sorry, what you say? The way you address it is, I address them by letting them know that if somebody's doing it to your own mother, how would you feel? And I also teach them to respond, because a lot of times watching these videos and and the peer pressure. Our young men don't know who they are as young men, and I try to teach them responsibility, because many of these young women will appreciate that, because these are the young men that you plan on marrying one day. And if he's if he's disrespecting you, you know, that's not cool to begin with. But I also think it's cowardly to hide behind a computer. You know, I think it's cowardly. If you have something to say to a young lady, be man enough to walk up to her and say hi to her. You see, this was before the social media. We had to do this. You had to walk up and say hi, do you like me, yes or no, or whatever, however you want to do it. Yeah, we did that. Don't act like you're above that. And that's how you do it.
Okay, excellent. Jennifer, let me ask you this question. This is a fabulous question from one of our students. Is self-defense ever a proper way to combat bullying?
Whoa. Okay. I really, really want to harp on this point. Okay. Right? Self-defense, I mean, I would absolutely encourage you to learn self-defense. Absolutely. You have to know how to protect yourself. But don't confuse violence, conflict, drama, and bullying. Those things, there are overlaps, okay? But they also are distinct, okay? So my thought on this is that when something escalates to a point of violence and you have to pull out your self-defense classes, I mean, that is definitely the time you need to engage an adult. You need to engage an adult at that point.
Okay, great. It seems like everybody feels self-defense. Is that a problem here? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. But self-defense is a good tool to have in your life, period. Especially for the ladies out there. There are all kinds of self-defense classes, and we should be able to defend ourselves out here. Here's another excellent question. If you know someone who has either harmed themselves or committed suicide because of bullying, who do you tell, and how do you prevent this from happening to others?
Elena, you want to get that?
I mean, anybody you trust, you can tell. I mean, especially if you know somebody personally, you know their story, you can get involved yourself. You can, help organizations like what I do. I know people who have been severely bullied and won't go to school, and that's why I want to take action and help them and help support others so that we can try to limit, we don't want anybody committing suicide. So just for others to stand up and all come together and, join organizations, join a club, start a club, something like that, and help take action and stomp out bullying.
Has there ever, a round of applause for that.
All right. The other thing that you should know here is that because you're at Banneker, because you live in the District of Columbia, where you live, you all have some of the best laws in the country protecting you against this. So none of you should feel like you're in a spot where, if this is happening to somebody that you know or to yourself, there should always be someone either at school, in your after-school program, at a church, at a hospital, at somewhere that will respond to you. That's part of what we're working on from the mayor's office. There should be someone at Banneker, your principal, your assistant principal, your guidance counselors. You deserve that, and you have that, and you own it.
Has anybody in the audience known somebody who has harmed themselves or even thought about committing suicide because of bullying? Can I have one person come to each mic so we can ask some questions about those symptoms? Two people, one to that mic and one to that mic, who have witnessed that. Okay, come on, step forward. Step forward. No? Oh, okay. Okay. You look so like a student. Okay, does anybody want to step forward and tell us about it? I really want to find out what were the symptoms that you saw so that you can share that with everybody. Come on, somebody stand up. Thank you. Give it up for the person who stood up. Tell us your name.
My name is Deja.
Okay, and so when you encountered a friend who was either going to harm themselves or commit suicide because of bullying, how did you know that they wanted to do that?
I know they wanted to do that because of that person's behavior. Because before the bullying, that person, was always caring and was always hanging around the people that they will always hang around. They will always talk to a lot of people. And after that person was bullied, she started isolating herself. She started, believing, he or she started believing that they don't belong in the world. They feel that
Isolated.
the whole world is, against them and things like that.
Thank you so much for telling us that. Give it up. So I wanted to do that so we could start to learn from each. I wanted to do that so that we could start to learn from each other some of the symptoms that you can tell in your friends when they may be a victim of bullying. And so I heard a couple of things like the mood of the person changed, their attitude became different, they became withdrawn. So those are some of the things you can look for if you believe one of your friends is being bullied. Those are some of the symptoms that you can look for. Can we have our next student? It's on. If it has a green light, just talk right into it.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Alexis. Hi. Okay, so I gotta talk about
Yeah, what, did you have a friend who you saw was being bullied or felt like harming themselves because of it?
Yes. She let it build up inside of her. She kept on saying to herself that, oh, I don't care what she would tell me, oh, I don't care what they say, and then it broke her. But it had something really bad happen. She went to, if a person is being bullied, it's more serious than it looks like because you don't never know what's going on in a person's mind. And it's not something to play around with about. And I don't know. It's just like to promote bullying, to prevent bullying, but also to prevent like low self-esteem, and also to promote confidence because everyone's going to talk about you even if you do something right, and that's how you know you're doing something right because people are going to talk about you always.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. The more people talk about you, the more you're doing the right thing.
So that's how you know you popping, like you out here.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thank you. But so when you see a friend who's starting to have low self-esteem or starting to withdraw, then that's the time that you have to step in and help your friend, right? That's the time you have to put your arms around your friend and try to help them through that situation. Go ahead. Young man, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel Lee. I don't know. I'm a senior, class of Banner.
Seniors, class of 14.
Thank you. The guy that I knew that was being bullied, we were in middle school, and he was one of my best friends. Thank you. We were like best friends, and we were in middle school. We were the two biggest guys in the class. He was bigger than me, unfortunately, as far as weight-wise. And, the other kids, they would kind of pick on us. They would ostracize us from each other, from the group, and make us feel like we weren't wanted and stuff like that. But we kind of banded together, and we helped each other through it. We really did. And we helped motivate each other. And we're still in contact, more or less, but he's doing good. He has a group of friends that he loves, a group of people that he loves. His mom's okay.
Awesome. That's awesome. I want to congratulate you on doing that and sticking with your friend and helping him through that situation and he helping you through, because that's what the meaning of real friendship is.
Yeah, young man, I just want to, what's your name again, sir?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, I just want to commend you on that because that's one of the steps is talking to someone. First of all, let them know it's unwanted behavior. Secondly, talking to someone that you trust, that you can bounce things off of and say, hey, they want to isolate us, me and you, we're going to have each other's back. So I commend you on that.
So Emmanuel brings up a really, really interesting point here, because one thing that Emmanuel said was that he and his friend were bigger and they were being bullied, right? So often we have this belief that bullying happens from like older people to younger people, or the, big strong people to tiny weak people. And that is absolutely not the case. An imbalance of power is not just an imbalance of physical power, it's an imbalance of mental power and the perceived power that someone has over another person. And it can manifest in a bunch of different ways.
It's looking out for each other. Like, thank you for just telling me that my jacket was up like that. That's good looking out. Thank you. That's how we need to do for each other. Thanks all y'all who didn't look out at all. Thank you. No. Okay, next.
My name is Kalandri Bullock, and my story's a lot like everyone else here. Like, they had a friend, but except it was me. No.
Cue the rich homie Quan, make me feel some type of way. Sounds like y'all are doing. Okay, come on, go ahead.
Don't feel bad for me.
Good.
Just don't feel bad for me. I had friends just like all of you people. They helped me get through it. I felt depressed for a little bit, but as long as you have friends that will stick up for you, then you know you're hanging with the right people.
That's wonderful. Let's give it up. Excellent. That's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. My name is Madeline Bullock, and I'm telling you about a friend I've known since I was in elementary school. She always made me laugh. I never really had friends when I was in elementary school, but she was one of those girls who wouldn't leave me alone. So when I got into middle school, people started bullying her, and because she had a bunch of problems at home, and she ended up in several group homes, and she also ended up cutting herself. And eventually she got so bad that she had to move away. And I just want to say that even through all that and all the times that we argued because of her problems, we're still friends even to this day. And I talk to her every day because she is my very best friend.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that personal story.
Yes, that's a very good point. And if you yourself or if you know anybody who's getting bullied, you can go to websites such as stompoutbullying.org. They have good campaigns, and they have a 24-hour hotline, and you can read tips, advice, see other kids' stories who are going through things just like you or your friend. So they're always there for support, stompoutbullying.org.
Who's going through something outside of school? Who's going through something outside of school, and you come to school and you have other things on your mind? Okay, so let's acknowledge that everybody, let's acknowledge that when we come to school, the last thing we need is for more stuff to be put on us, right? Because we already have other stuff in our lives. We have school, we have trying to graduate in the class of 2014, we have the last thing you should do, so the last thing you should do when you come to school is either be a bully or have to be the victim of bullying. Is that right? All right, let's go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Samuel Devereaux, and my problem was sort of with me, but when I was young, I was very quiet, and I never really took the time to make friends. But I had one childhood friend, and I knew him since preschool, and we grew up together, and we did everything together. And in middle school, I pretty much got bullied, but he was always there to help me out, and I never got into a fight because he was always there to help me out. He got into an unfortunate accident where he drowned, and it was hard for me because I didn't know what to do, and I went to his funeral, and I couldn't really bear to see it because he was the person that stopped me from doing things that I really would regret. And I just want to thank him now because without him, I couldn't have done these things I'm doing today. And yeah.
That is thank you everybody. Thank you everybody. You are very brave for standing up and telling us that story and sharing it with us, and we thank you very much for that story. We're going to take one last question here because we do have to get ready to go and the buses. I'm sorry, one quick last question. What's your name?
Chill. My name is Antonio Mason, and I got a couple comments, and I got like one question. So like, as far as the law thing goes, right? Is there, like, can you go to jail for bullying somebody?
Is that a personal question?
I'm sorry.
Are you asking that from a personal experience?
No.
Okay.
No. See, I probably no. I probably been bullied like one time, but I didn't allow the bully to bully me, you know. And like another thing that I had was like, she said when you was talking about self-defense, I feel like if somebody's in your face, if a bully is bothering you every day and you going through them things every day, why waste your time going to get in the dark? You know what I'm saying? For real. When you have self-defense, you know how to defend yourself. Why waste your time going to get in the dark when you can put it into it right there? Oh, and one more thing. I got one more thing.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, thank you for your question.
I got one more thing too.
Thanks for your question. Okay, and we're gonna end right after this. So, can you go to jail for bullying? Probably not. But does bullying lead to other things that maybe could get you in trouble? Definitely, yeah. So just watch yourselves. But I really think that we shouldn't end on this note. Yeah.
We're gonna end real quickly, and we're gonna say thank you to all our panelists. Give it up, a round of applause. Give it up for the CBC spouses who put this panel together for you. And then repeat after me. Speak up. Speak up. Stand up. Stand up. United against bullying.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Marita Davis Johnson. I was introduced earlier, and I am the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus Spouse. Isn't this great? Let's not only give it up for our panelists, let's give it up for our moderator, Mo Ivory. Well, I think that I'd like to thank all of you for your participation. And you all are great students. You had great questions. And so now I feel that we're all empowered, especially our students, that we know what we need to do. We need to stand up with our friends. We need to tell. And so we've gotten a lot of information, and that's what we do as congressional spouses. We try to touch the students because you all are the future. And so we are so very proud to be here. We're so very proud of you. Thank you.
That concludes the program, everybody, and make sure to take care of each other and have a great weekend, okay?